is the One Up Radio Network, and we're live at the E3 conference on a kind of disassembled floor. There's like boxes and plastic and all kinds of stuff out here. You don't want to hear about that, though. It's Monday, May 8th. We're back from the Sony conference. We're back from the Square conference, and we want to tell you about it. We got Jeremy Parrish here.
Hello.
Jeremy, you were at the Square Shindig.
The Final Fantasy event. There was some other stuff, but it was mostly Final Fantasy. As a matter of fact, I counted, and they showed 15 different Final Fantasy things, games and movies, and I don't know what else.
Not really very final, is it anymore?
Yeah, that seems pretty unfinal.
I think they should drop the numbers too.
That joke is kind of old, though. So
Yeah.
let's
You
just
guys should say hi.
beyond.
So is John.
Yeah, I'm kind of old, but I think they should definitely drop the numbers now.
Well,
time to
it would
drop
make
the
more
numbers.
sense because there are, at this point, 3 Final Fantasy 13s. So you kind of have to stop and wonder, which one is actually Final Fantasy 13? There's
What the
Final
hell?
Fantasy 13, and there's Final Fantasy Agito 13 and Final Fantasy Versus 13. But it doesn't mean it's like Final Fantasy Fighting 13. It's like Latin Versus, which means changing or something. It's very pretentious. It's all part of an umbrella series or something called Fabula Nova Crystallis.
So-called not going to sell well in America.
Well, no, it's got like pretty people and nice FMVs and stuff.
So what
it'll
is the
sell
deal?
okay.
What's the real one?
The real one is Final Fantasy 13, which is kind of weird because it doesn't actually look that much like a real Final Fantasy game. It looks like an action shooter starring some chick who has guns and magic. And like they showed a screen of, or a brief video snippet of the action and interface, and it's all over the place. There's like stuff at the bottom, stuff in the corner, stuff at the top, and there's like 13 enemies surrounding her, and they're all shown on a map. And I have no idea what's going on.
But it looked cool.
It looked really good.
Really
So
good.
the deal with this one is it's just her. It's not a party-based thing.
Well, I don't know. They only showed her in the video. Like they showed her in a couple of different environments and scenarios, and
It's
they didn't
Square. They
show
got
any
two
other.
She has one of those
mirrors.
gun sword things that.
Right,
What's his face
and
had
she's
in-
like in the logo.
Right.
So they haven't shown anything else except her like whooping ass on bad guys, and that would be okay. I mean, it kind of makes sense because the game is from the director of Final Fantasy X-2, which was like the chick empowerment Final Fantasy.
Right.
So maybe he's just taken that to some bizarre extreme where you have one chick who's very, very empowered.
So what are the other two about?
The other two, one of them is a mobile phone game, which the best way I can describe that is as like a mobile phone MMO kind of. I don't know if it's necessarily an MMO per se, but basically it uses some sort of GPS function, and you create your character party by joining up with other people who have the game. So like if there's someone near you, you can use ad hoc.
Oh, join up in real life?
Yeah, like if someone's near you in real life, you can join up via ad hoc and create your combat party and go out and kill stuff together. So it's kind of like forming a party in Final Fantasy XI, except it also kind of uses like that GPS functionality that Gizmondo tried and bombed with. But I can actually see this working, at least in Asia, because people have nice cell phones there that actually have the technology to support it.
Seems
and
really
if,
suited to that.
if you're like on a train for an hour on the way into work in Tokyo or in Korea where they love MMOs, I mean, I can see people really getting into that as long as the
which one's
gameplay
that
is
one
good.
again?
That's a Final Fantasy Agito 13.
Okay.
I'm never going to remember that. Versus, they didn't actually show any gameplay about. It's
Is that
like
the Nomura one?
well, they're all Nomura. He's like the god of Final Fantasy now. But this is the one that has the Kingdom Hearts 2 development staff and the Advent Children animators working together. So at the very least, it's going to look really, really good. And I guess Kingdom Hearts 2 is pretty good as a game, so it should be fun. But all they showed was like this really gloomy-looking guy sitting on a throne inside a building. But even though it was inside a building, it's raining. That's very, very gloomy. And there was a Shakespeare quote, very, very goth.
Yeah.
But
What it
he's
comes
like,
down to really is that like they're going to
Just
do
thinking
now.
about it.
They're going to do now with all the Final Fantasies like they've done with Final Fantasy VII.
yeah, I mean, this seems to be their new thing, is this kind of blanket thing. They had the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. They have this Fabula Nova Crystallis. And then, with the Mana series, they have World of Mana. And it looks like they're pretty serious about whoring that out also. So I guess this is their kind of thing. Instead of creating a game, they have to create
A property.
Right, a property. Like a marketing blitz. Polymorphic content, if you prefer.
That sounds
So as a
great.
big-time Square fan, what do you think about that? Do you like that direction or you not like it?
Honestly, not really. I kind of like the standalone games and, just let it stand on its own strengths. I imagine that some of the Final Fantasy 13 products will be very good, and I imagine that some of them will be not. Kind of like how the Final Fantasy VII products have not really been that great. But Crisis Core could be pretty good. I don't know. They showed a little bit of the cinematics and in-game dialogue for that.
I think any third-party developer that goes that route, and like spreading themselves out is going to spread themselves thin, and especially now as you get into higher-end machines, it's going to be evident. Hey, we don't have a team of 25 working on this. We have a team of 15 working on it, or whatever it might be. All right. Anything else we missed about Final Fantasy, you guys? All right, that means
so.
The blank expression on my face pretty much makes me feel really
you guys
like.
do have that blank
I'm
look.
sorry,
I do think it's worth
participate.
mentioning. I do think it's worth mentioning that the core Final Fantasy 13 is being developed by the Final Fantasy X team, which was responsible for last year's Final Fantasy VII real-time demo for PlayStation 3. So all the rumors of a Final Fantasy VII remake could probably be put to rest at least for a few years, because I
Those guys
imagine
will be tied up.
they're going to be pretty occupied making the actual Final Fantasy sequel.
That's actually really good though, because by the time they stop working on Final Fantasy 13 and like are ready to move to Final Fantasy 7, based on what we saw today, Sony might be ready to compete, because right now they're not.
Ooh, and that's a nice little
segue.
So that's Luke Smith, and also next to me here is John Davison. We'll get them introduced because we got to take the gloves off now. We have
Tell
Shane
old
in the
jokes,
room.
apparently.
A quivering Shane Bettenhausen in the studios. What was that? Because he can't retort yet. What was it? What percent of games will I be playing on my
I think
PS3?
he
Was
said
it 70?
70.
was what
Yeah,
I said, yeah.
70 was the number.
I'm sure we'll be corrected if we're wrong on the message
I
boards.
think, yeah,
I'm
probably.
sure.
Yeah. 70%. He's
Shane's
getting-
here. Hi, Shane.
So first of all, I skipping a friend's birthday party at Hooters in Hollywood right now to come eat crow with Luke Smith at the podcast in this
And you
really
like
hot terrarium. But yeah, I got to be here. So
Good man. Wait, I like that you own up to it, though. Like,
well,
The crow eating.
I can't wait tomorrow after the Microsoft press conference. It's going to be pretty fun too. So we'll see.
It is.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Like, in what way?
Well, I mean, if you think today was disappointing,
Really?
I think tomorrow could be even worse.
So Nintendo's the one to beat now, huh?
Yeah, Nintendo. Like, I can't take that much disappointment, so I think Nintendo will deliver in the morning, based on what I know. But
So where do we want to start?
I think you got to start with the price. You got to
start with the price.
Got
I'm surprised they announced the price.
So,
this thing
Yeah,
people don't.
this should have been the card to pull out August, September
Right.
to get us far.
Not when
We
you
had
can
that
trick people into
conversation
spending
last
that kind of money.
Well,
you might as well get people ready to save some shit.
It's what everybody thought. It's not surprising. It's not too low. It's not too high. It's exactly what we thought. The two SKUs
Whoa,
thing
whoa, whoa,
is
whoa,
a little
stop.
surprising.
Wait, stop. What do you mean it's not too
Every
high?
analyst, every magazine, if you read EGM, you've been hearing $500 for PS3 for a year.
Hey,
it's not
just because
surprising.
I've been hearing it doesn't mean that I'm going to go out and drop five bills on that thing.
Okay, Garnett, do you want to go buy?
Especially not after
Do you
what
want to
I
go buy
saw
an
today.
HD DVD player? That's $500. Or you can buy this for the same price and it also plays games.
I thought the PS3.
We're not-
No,
wait a
but
minute.
what we
Wait,
saw was
I'm
were not
gonna-
games.
I am not going to hold any. I'm not going to argue with you guys about this price. I think the price is fair and just. I think that you could argue two SKUs is a bad idea.
So a machine that makes games look about almost as good as a 360 launch game
You're
is
retarded.
worth $100.
Okay, you guys
more.
are retarded. If you did you see? I mean, yes, the conference today was a poorly planned conference. They started with some weak-looking games. It
probably
didn't
didn't spend
instill a
any
lot of
time playing
confidence.
them.
But they did show today 4 or 5 games that are exclusive to PS3 that look amazing.
Which of those games did we
Those
see
games-
gameplay footage from?
You saw gameplay footage of Metal Gear Solid 4, Final Fantasy 13.
I saw gameplay footage from Final
So
Fantasy
gameplay
13.
footage of the Naughty Dog game. You saw gameplay footage of Heavenly. What's it called?
Heavenly Sword.
Heavenly Sword looked fantastic.
Okay, Heavenly Sword looked
You
okay.
can't pretend like Heavenly. What game on 360 looks better than Heavenly Sword?
I don't own a 360. I don't know. I'm sure I'll see it tomorrow.
So
though.
yes, they did. The problem with this conference, if you guys can watch the feed, it's up online. Is they started really weakly. They showed Gran Turismo, which was like old PS2 assets running in like a really high resolution at a high frame rate, but you can't tell that you can't appreciate HD resolution on a giant projection
20-foot
screen. It looks
screen,
retarded.
yeah.
Hey,
It's bad.
okay, so hold on one second here. Let me tell you where they started. They started off with Kaz walking out there with that typical, and man, you know what? I like Sony, so this is going to come off the wrong way, but if it comes off the wrong way, that's fine. They come out with that typical arrogance that just starts me pissed off in the
it's kind of
first
their
place.
MO.
Hey, this is not an incremental advance. We sent a message. The next generation doesn't start until we say it does. You know what? If it doesn't start until we say it does, then they obviously said it about a year ago when the 360
Yeah,
came
well,
out.
but Sony, you can't fault them for coming out and reminding us that they've sold 100 million PS2s because that's true. And you might pretend like they haven't sold 100 million PS2s and Xbox is competitive with PlayStation 2, but it's not. And Sony, it's their place to come out and remind you, yeah, we do control this industry right
yeah,
now.
so now they're the McDonald's of video games.
There is the problem. They control the industry right now, and they're about to put out a $600 console with a bunch of derivative stuff. It may look amazing, but Naughty Dog just remade Tomb Raider for us,
Right.
and we were all asking
But it
for
looked
that.
really pretty.
And as far as I can tell, well, yeah, it looks really pretty. But then what here at this show this week is not going to look really pretty? I
Maybe
mean,
some of the
it's not enough.
Wii games.
And everything they showed either had someone shooting something
Oh, yeah.
or driving, or the only things that didn't was Hot Shots. Surprise is another one. It
which
looks
looked
exactly
like
the
Hot
same.
Shots. I mean, I'm
Looked
not
like
here-
Hot Shots on
And
PS2.
Sonic.
Well,
Which I actually thought looked really good.
Sonic?
I
Oh,
did.
really?
No, I thought it looked okay. Like I was like, hey, it looks like an actual game as opposed to another fucking Formula One.
no
game.
one here is going to
That
debate.
Formula One game was horrible.
Like, I'm not going to debate that Sony is creative. If anything, all they do is copy other people, but they're good at it. And like, if you saw the big thing at the end with the controller, the Warhawk thing, they were copying Nintendo, kind of not well.
Poorly.
Yeah.
That guy looked like he was
Very
having a
poorly.
Yeah,
seizure
like
while he
I was really
playing.
excited about that when I first heard about it, and then when I finally saw it happening, like him playing Warhawk, he's moving his hands a lot more.
Looks like an idiot
Yeah,
spaz
you're,
kid.
You're moving your hands a lot, unlike Wii, which is kind of like refined small movements. Warhawk, it looks like you're gonna get tired really fast playing with that thing, and that's the only game at E3 that uses that.
See, I wonder
technology.
if they were just over exaggerating because it
Possibly
was on
to make it
stage
look like
and-
it's
He was having
playable
trouble, though.
here.
He had a
Well,
problem.
that is playable right over there, like
Right.
20 feet from us, so we can play that and see what it's like. But the problem with it is it's kind of an afterthought, and none of the third parties are supporting it yet. But what is good is it is in the box, and it's eventually, like 3 years from now, then third parties can start, like, it's an investment for the future. And it's something that Microsoft doesn't have. And if Microsoft wants to follow suit now, they're further fracturing their market. At that point, you have people who have a core pack, people who have a hard drive, people who have a 3D controller. Like, these Sony is doing, it's a smart move to put it in the box. You have to admit that.
No, that is. I'm not
glad
going
they-
to argue that it's a good move to include it. It's
Yeah.
still stupid.
I'm glad they followed
right
the
now.
DualShock 2 pattern, and I thought, I mean, from what we saw of the controller, it's a DualShock 2. It's got bigger sort of Xbox-style triggers,
It's got a
and
center
it has a PlayStation
Yeah.
Xbox
What sucks
Live
is,
button.
is
Yeah.
there is no vibration, which kind of sucks. And another thing what I was saying with the two SKUs, what they didn't tell you is that the cheaper SKU is also like a somewhat crippled machine. It doesn't have all the inputs. It doesn't have HDMI. It doesn't have Wi-Fi built in. It doesn't have all
Doesn't
the,
have HDMI.
no.
Wow.
How can it do 1080p then?
I don't know. I just heard that may be unsubstantiated. I heard that like on the way here, but I haven't researched that myself. But it isn't just
We need
a
to check
smaller
that out.
hard- Yeah,
'cause
we need
I'm-
to check that out.
I'm not
but-
buying the memory stick thing either, because isn't that part of the point?
Yeah, that's a big part of the point. I'm not buying that either.
We'll see. Look, do your homework, kids. That's what I heard.
I'll
But
wander over in a while.
figure it out. But okay, back to the conference itself.
The HDMI thing would be a disaster for him.
They started with some games that weren't that impressive, and like it took like 40 minutes for them to show Heavenly Sword, finally to get the audience like clapping because it looks like a good game. It looks like a next gen game. It looks like something you want to buy.
It ought to. Ninja Theory started working PS3 before they even knew PS3
Right.
was going to exist.
But as I predicted, like the best looking PS3 games do look really good. They do, and you can't argue.
No,
that.
Metal Gear 4 looked great.
Metal Gear 4 looks amazing.
Final
like,
Fantasy 13. I
yeah.
said to skip. I said to skip.
like a
when
few
I was on, I said
games
it looked
look
great.
fantastic, but then like a lot of the games, and especially first party, because they lean very heavily on first party, don't look all that good yet.
Which one looked like something 360 couldn't do?
I think that 360 could probably do any of those best looking games if they tried really, really hard. But there were more of them. There were more great looking games there than more great looking games I've seen for Xbox 360.
Where was Killzone?
Really? So two
They
great
purposely
games.
didn't show Killzone because they didn't want to take the focus off Resistance, which is a launch title. Which Resistance looks good.
Wait a minute. He just said two great looking games is more great looking.
No, I didn't say
games than
two. I said several.
What's several? Did you say
I said-
several
I
great
said
looking
Mel-
PS3 games?
okay, Metal Gear.
Oh, there's the card game. That was pretty awesome looking. That was totally fantastic.
The card
and
game?
Hot and
The card game was like a quirky, interesting
No,
technical.
that was
for
great.
kids.
And then there was Hot Shots. That was definitely next.
That looked
gen.
retarded.
And then there was the F1 game. That was totally badass.
So you're picking out like the few bad games, and you're overlooking the really good games.
No, I don't feel
mean,
like
do-
he's
do
picking out a few
people
bad games.
generally-
I really think that you need to come here and man up. You said to me on Friday, what the announcement at the end of Sony's conference will change the way you feel about
Well,
the PS3. It didn't, dude. What it changed
was over- yeah.
the fact that I was going to buy one to sell on eBay, and now I don't even think it's a good investment because it and its launch titles are garbage. Sony, as the market leader, has a responsibility
Hey,
to
Luke.
to its
Luke,
consumer.
how many
to
of those launch
perform
titles have
like
you played? Oh, none of them? That's right. You played none of them, Luke.
great.
You can't call anything garbage. Like, are you literally telling me that Resistance is garbage?
I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
go
that
play that and tell me that.
it looks derivative.
Of course
it looks
it's
like,
derivative.
It's like Brothers in Arms.
And yeah, show me all the
With
amazing
space aliens.
Okay, but you're not defending. You're not acting like the competitors. I mean, you act like Wii sucks. Wii is interesting. You don't like it. What do you want? Like,
I
of
don't.
course Sony's games
I'll
are
know when I
derivative.
see it. It's like porn.
Well,
I'll
okay.
go you one further with Resistance. Art design on Resistance is not going to win any awards. Those aliens were pretty
it's like War of the Worlds meet Call of Duty 2. It's marketed. People are going to
So
buy it.
you could have had this interesting, engaging art style.
We've
and
seen
instead
one
you've got
level. You guys are so out to hate everything. You came
I
to
think it's
hate.
ironic.
We are not the regular consumers. If the average gamer was at that PS3 thing, he would not have come out of that like, oh, that sucks. No, we are so jaded, so bitter. You guys are the toughest crowd in town.
I'm glad that you mentioned the average gamer, because here's the average gamer. The average gamer this fall, in August, is going to want a Madden game. And the average gamer is only going to be able to get a next-gen Madden on Xbox 360. Xbox 360 has a de facto exclusive.
What are you talking about?
Because Sony's not going to have a next-gen
until November.
Madden. Yeah, until November. Until the end of November.
Right.
When November 17th was the date, right?
November 17th.
So consumers are going to be, one, faced with a price point at minimum $200 higher. Right. $299 to $599 if you buy the retard pack, whatever. The retard pack for both systems. Then they're going to want the Madden, and they're going to have a difficult time getting availability. That's going to push units. That's going to push Xbox 360's lead ahead. Sony, this isn't in the bag. It's not at all in the bag. Sony is in trouble. Sony looks like a company that is ultimately in trouble, especially given what we saw today. Now, it's entirely possible that layer is going to be amazing when it comes out. I thought you'd mention that. I thought that looked really cool. The little rendered stuff
I'm
they
sure they're
showed.
still trying to figure out how to make it work as a game.
Right.
So I'm not going to support
cool
Lair.
movie.
Yeah, I think Lair looks really pretty, but I hear there's not a game.
I mean, there's been games like that before. Psygnosis did one, and then wasn't the Ozzy Osbourne game a bit like that as well?
Lethal Skies. Whatever. But I mean, if you think about it, we did see today like 25, 30 games.
Right. But I
and
think,
tomorrow at Microsoft, you will not see those many exclusive games. I really don't think you will. I really don't think you will.
I think there's exclusive and there's important exclusive. And I think
Yep.
tomorrow we're going to hear more known franchises than Microsoft are going after, which is still what the fight is now.
Right.
But you
because
mean
the
more
fight is
known.
between
Right.
Sony
Well,
and
like, okay,
Microsoft, and it's
but, like,
who's got Splinter
But
Cell,
today,
who's got Metal
Final
Gear.
Fantasy was like a double bomb, and like Square Enix, the other Japanese company, but they're talking about the importance of next gen. They announced 2 exclusive titles for Wii, 2 exclusive titles for PS3, and not for 360 because 360 is over in Japan. And like the games like Devil May Cry, Resident Evil, Final Fantasy, and Resident Evil is coming, but like a lot of these Japanese exclusives are going to be probably first, better, or exclusive on PS3, and that will add up over time.
yeah, it's just going to be over time.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean-
PS3, the console you want to spend $600 on in 2008.
I don't think that like this November 17th PS3 is going to like blow Xbox 360 off the face of the earth. But I think like 2 years from now there will be a big difference between the libraries and the install base and the games you're playing on.
I think in 2 years,
I'm
the
just being
install bases will
realistic.
be similar.
I don't, really? You want to make a bet?
Yeah, I'll make a bet.
Want to bet some money right here?
Yeah, I'll bet you $20. And in 2 years, the
They
difference.
shook on it, by the way.
Yeah, the
Definitely
difference
shaking.
between their
I think
install bases is
I think
not
it'll be-
greater than. It has to be set to a flat percent.
I mean, I don't think it would be as big of a difference as PS2 and
yeah, that's
Xbox,
huge.
but I
It won't
do
be that
think
big.
that PS3 will sell at least twice as many
Okay, I'll take
worldwide,
that bet.
worldwide as Xbox 360.
Speaking of
in 2
numbers,
years.
I was shocked that they doubled the what they think they're going to ship.
Yeah, I don't
Where
think.
did that
Do you think
come
they can
from?
really do it? I don't know.
2 million at
4 million-
launch,
4 million
for the
by
end of the year,
6
6 million by March.
Well, I mean, it was supposed to ship in March, right? Originally.
right.
Yeah, but still,
nothing-
that thing is
the
huge.
bits weren't ready.
That thing takes a long time to make. It's colossal.
It's enormous, huge.
Right, I'm not going to let you hang out there and say though that I came to this conference to hate because
Oh, I
I did
think
not.
you did. I think you did. I think a lot of people came there today.
I came
Thanks
there
for
Are you
letting me
talking about
respond,
Sony or are you talking about E3?
Everything, but so
You mind,
Sony
if I like? You mind if I have something to say there?
All right, go ahead,
All right,
go
you
for
sure?
it.
You sure? You're all right
I'm
with that?
sure.
Right, because like when they put Yamaguchi-san up there, I was like thrilled. I mean, because
Right.
hey, there's no game that I've loved more. than
That
Gran
should have
Turismo.
looked really good.
and it should have looked really good. So that was a huge disappointment. To
And it
see
was the
that
first
thing
thing they showed.
It was the first thing they showed. So I don't understand. And it's much of a perfectionist as he's known to be. Why would he let that go
I
up
think
there?
people must have told him it looked good. I don't know.
It didn't look good. I mean,
I think it also suffered from being on a 20-foot
Yeah,
screen.
I think on a TV,
I'm sure.
like when they went to first person, it looked good. But it's still, yeah, you're grasping for straws to look at that.
But I got to tell you, the rest of what you're trying to get me excited about is not as exciting as you're building it out to be. A 1950s theory, shoot the aliens
Well,
first person
why don't you play it
shooter,
first? Why don't you play it first?
I would be glad to play it.
Well, it's playable right away.
Okay, I'm going to play it, and we're going to chaw it. But I'm just saying that's not something that makes
I mean, do you think Insomniac is not a good developer?
Insomniac's a great developer?
All right.
Insomniac's a fantastic developer, but I'm saying that is not the kind of piece that I'm going to go.
But I
oh
hope
my
there's
God,
some
I'm gonna buy
innovation
something.
because they've made their reputation on doing cool and interesting
Yeah.
things.
I think
And
there's a lot
and-
we don't know about that.
Right,
game.
and we
I
saw
hope so.
saw that video after we had already seen a bunch of things with people shooting at stuff. I mean, I got
that's true.
halfway through that presentation, and I'm like, the PS3. I mean, like they want this to be mainstream. We've heard it from them as well. and yet everyone's driving in a car and shooting at things till they blow up. I mean, the 8
Right.
days thing was like...
Yeah, 8 days was like
that
every movie
epitomized
you've ever seen.
what the PS3 is. It's like there's driving and explosions and shooting and heavy metal.
I've heard
It's a Vin
other
Diesel movie.
people explain like PS3 is like the summer blockbuster of video game consoles, and then it is, and like Nintendo Wii is like the wacky weird shit.
It's like the art movie.
And Xbox 360, it's like it's kind of like Xbox.
So I'd like to talk about something that I think is really important after today, and that is that because Sony does control the industry, they have to work extra hard to get things like 8 days and Lair and everything. Because if Sony fucks this up, it's not just Sony that's going to suffer; it's the entire games industry. If they don't get these things established, if they don't get the names out there, if GT is really going to be 18 months, 2 years away. It's going to be a slow start, and everyone is looking to Sony to lead. And if they don't, and it's up to Microsoft, who I mean, by their own admission, weren't really going into this fight to lead.
Right.
They were going into this fight to narrow the gap. But it could be. I mean, if Sony, it follows what Luke is saying.
I think they are doing it, but it kind of backfired on them because the reason this conference sucked so much is because they spent literally an hour on first-party games. They showed us like 20 first-party games, things like Africa, and like games like what the fuck is that? I don't know, but they did show us like 20 first-party games. And if you think that even Nintendo can't show us 20 games, Microsoft can't show us 20 games, but Sony is big enough and spends enough money. And 20 games aren't all good. 10 of them were bad. Like 10 of those games
a show
weren't
of
good.
force on
Here's where
volume.
Shane drives
just
me crazy
volume.
with this
I was
stuff.
going to say, like, what I was going to say right there
numbers.
was, I feel like I understand that you're playing a numbers game, but the game that's the most important is quality over quantity.
Right.
And I'm saying that I'm confident that what we're going to see from Nintendo and probably some of the first party stuff that we're going to see from Microsoft is going to be quality.
Well, yeah,
and
'cause-
I'm not. And they have. And granted, they have less. They are smaller companies. They have less first party support overall. And so Sony could zerg the conference like they did. The
Right.
problem was we didn't really see the quality. But
Yeah.
to also include, Microsoft didn't launch particularly awesome either. So they didn't have. I mean, it's not like we're looking.
huge crescendo of classical music
not
coming
like-
from somewhere.
Yeah, what the hell?
So I think
very
the Sony
dramatic.
thing. The other thing about the Sony thing that bothered me is I'm worried about them monetarily because not only is the price of the box very high, but we saw a lot of stuff on digital content that made me very nervous. And then they have this kind of McDonald's mentality now that they're getting to, which is not only have they served billions of people with software, but they're going to do a la carte with all kinds of crazy stuff in the Warhawk demo.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
if you're talking about microtransactions, it was like here's a gun, here's this.
I know. Look, that shit needs to be in the game. I don't need to be having to pay $3 to buy a gun or a bomb to play my game.
Right.
I mean, if I want some extra content, that's great. But
Well, I mean, they did spend a small amount of time on their online plan. It does sound like they are more or less just directly lifting Xbox Live, and that's good in a way. But they're taking the bad parts, like the microtransactions, that we're kind of sketchy on right now.
yeah, and I'm
They're
really
taking
concerned
stuff
about
too.
that. And if Sony is really struggling monetarily, I mean, come on, if they weren't having some monetary issues, they wouldn't be selling this thing at $4.99.
Well, I mean, they're struggling monetarily because it costs an incredible amount of money to make PlayStation 3. It's
Exactly.
a huge investment.
Exactly. So that's why I'm concerned that they can turn to things like microtransactions to try and pad some of that back because it could be very costly
Right.
to us. I don't want to go out and buy stuff for my game that should have been in the box.
So we're sort of coming to an end. I think that's a good point to actually sort of throw it out to people. We're going to be doing this every day, but we do want to hear what you have to say every day. And
Boards.oneup.com.
yeah, so let's go to the boards and let's talk about the price today because that seems to be the real hot button.
I mean, it's a lot of money, but do you think you'll be able to find one this Christmas? No, you won't. You won't be able to find one.
and the good thing is, if
yeah.
they're going to do 2 million now between launch and holidays, that means nearly 1 million in the US.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a lot of units for
a
a
hell of a good
launch
number.
window.
Yeah, I mean, they will have a faster install base than Microsoft. So the question is, will there be enough really good games in those first 2 months to warrant
Right.
that? We'll see.
So, question
Hopefully.
of the day, I guess, is what do you think of the price? And if you're going to buy one, which one, and why?
And I mean, if to do like another question, there is: do you think the controller is like an afterthought, or do you think it's actually something that people will use?
We should probably try and find out and confirm if that the lower price point is gimped.
Yeah.
Because
We'll figure
right
for tomorrow.
now-
We'll
We'll
report back
find
on
out
that
for tomorrow, and we'll
Yeah.
let you know.
And we'll play them all, and we'll
for
check
now,
out-
assume that they're the same.
We'll
when you
follow
answer the
through at
question.
Shane's request, and we will play the games on the floor and give you like updated impressions. And then tomorrow we'll have Microsoft and Nintendo stuff. We got more to talk about than we know what to do with.
Yeah, tomorrow's gonna be huge.
All right. So until then, this is Garnet and the John, Luke, Shane,
The John.
Jeremy.
I'm the John.
Luke, let's go talk about this in private.
Guys, kiss and make up. And until tomorrow, we're out.